Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today. Hope you're all on a fantastic Tuesday. We have a fair few things to talk about, thankfully, over the last hour or so. Some actual interesting things have come out, well, at least in regards to the All-Star game, which is going on this weekend at CWL Miami. So we are approaching Miami very, very quickly. Today I want to talk a bit more about franchises and potentially where the other franchise spots will lie. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yesterday's video talking about the Call of Duty League, or whatever it's going to be called next season, likely that, and, well, the esports bubble and all those things around that. You guys had some very interesting comments, you know, one of which was along the lines of, well, you know, what do you expect people who are working in this industry to do? Do you think that they should just stick to their guns and hope that it doesn't go down the pan, or, you know, would you advise spreading your eggs in multiple baskets, if that's even a thing to say? And that's the direction that I personally am taking. Like, I'm now working full time. I'm not, this YouTube is completely a side thing now, but I'm still trying to do my best to daily upload. And yeah, if you guys are really interested, as I'm sure a lot of you are, in trying to work in esports, and maybe you're a writer or something like that within Call of Duty or with esports more generally, I would be cautious to go all in at this point, because I do not think the industry is as stable as maybe it seems to some perspective. Because until I've really heard all this stuff about the esports bubble and people have been talking about it a little bit more, I wouldn't have been able to, I would have told you like esports is on, you know, at a constant upward trajectory. To me, it doesn't seem like that's the case. I think there will be some lulls, and therefore I would advise you guys who are interested in trying to get into the industry to tread carefully. But, you know, who am I to say? So it's all on you. But anyway, today, Encrypted Gaming, they've announced a team. Theory, OP Suda, that's Happy, TCM, Goonjar and Felony, what a squad. They're going to be playing at Miami. Another team is announced that we'll have a look at in a second. So, yeah, this is the video. Like if you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you are new, as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Never done that weird voice thing before. Don't know what I'm on about. Okay, that's the team. What are your thoughts, boys? Can they make champs? Probably can. Especially in 5v5s. It feels, to be honest, this year, when you look at the league, that last year I thought there was plenty of players in the league, a 16-team league, that didn't really deserve to be in the league. Like, Vitality weren't great the first season, Epsilon were obviously tragic in Stage 2 as well, and it's like, well, there's probably some players outside the league at that point, like the Ghost Gaming team with Parasite on, which probably deserved a spot in the league, or at least were, you know, better than Epsilon, I would say. But this season, it seems like the entire league has talent which pretty much deserves to be there. None of the teams have been completely awful, I would say. And it's honestly been a pretty damn good year of competition. There hasn't been any real foregone conclusions. You know, even Splice getting upset a couple of times by Denial, Elevate, that kind of team. So, but, you know, it does seem like when you do delve into the amateur section, the difference of 5v5 really does make a difference. And right here, this, honestly, in terms of placing top 16 in an event, this should be not necessarily a foregone conclusion, but they should have a great chance of qualifying for champs, at the very least. So this is another team which I think has a great chance. I'd be very surprised if they don't. That's B-Sport, Josh, Dave, Defrag, PT, and Steve Vortex, who is honestly phenomenal at this game from what I've seen. And Defrag's a great young talent as well. Dave, of course, we know what he was like back in the Infinite Warfare days. They came top 3 in Anaheim alongside B-Sport, Josh himself, joined, of course, by PT, who is a, you know, a pretty solid player overall. So exciting team for sure. And well, looking forward to seeing these guys in action. They've done a nice little video here, once again, courtesy of the boys over at Team War. So, moving onwards, this is a thing to discuss. Camos, face paint, and outfits, gentleman's agreemented. Now, you know, this is an interesting way to phrase it, because I'm not sure it's not quite a GA in terms of they've been GA'd because they're too overpowered or something like that. What it means is there's a bug with Vision Pulse, which I haven't, unfortunately, had the opportunity to play the game to test whether it actually works, but, or, you know, I'm sure it does. And, well, the pros say they won't be using any camos, face paint, or outfits, because that apparently messes up the Vision Pulse. And Tony Flame, who's the lead competitive developer, says that it can't be fixed anytime soon, which, you know, this may seem like a negative thing to say, which it is to some degree. I guess they don't really know how the problem is being caused in order to not be able to fix it. But, you know, at the same time, at least he is saying that, look, you know, you have to do this workaround to get around this issue, because if you don't, then we're not going to be able to fix it, or we haven't figured out a way to fix it anytime soon. So it's better to be honest and transparent, I would say. So yeah, keep that in mind. So let's get on to some CDL stuff. This is I ripped this from an article on its Q1 earnings call today. So this is an article from a while ago, but just it says where all the franchise spots are going to be so far. So the spots announced so far: Atlanta in Georgia, Dallas in Texas, New York in New York, Paris in France, and Toronto in Canada, owned by Atlanta Esports Ventures, one of these like venture capital organizations I was talking about in yesterday's video. Envious, Sterling VC own the New York spot, interestingly. Contact Gaming and Overactive Media for the Toronto one, which I'm think are partnered with Splice. So I'm pretty sure that Splice and Envy are the two teams that are in. And then of course we got the announcement a couple of days ago, probably more than that now, with OpTic Gaming getting the spot in. They got the Los Angeles spot. Whether they will be another Los Angeles spot is definitely a question. And also the Minnesota spot was announced and purchased by Gary V. Or I'm not going to try and pronounce any more letters of his surname. So yes, that's pretty much what's been announced so far. Now, there have been rumours that there'd be 12 teams overall in the entire league. Now, we have Paris as a spot, which is in Europe, but apart from that, it's been pretty slow for other European, input, because Cloud9, you'd have thought, would have been interested in the London spot because they have the London Spitfire Overwatch League team, but from what I heard behind the scenes, even though this is probably a couple of months ago at this point, that, Cloud9 aren't so sure they're interested, which may have something to do with the esports bubble I was talking about yesterday, because on the whole they've probably got their heads screwed on over there. So let's have a look at this then. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Here we go. This is from the COD burner, posted 4 days ago. He says that the next franchises are going to be Detroit, Miami, and Seattle. Now, what I heard interestingly is that, if you guys saw a video on 100 Thieves channel, I think posted today, they've raised another $35 million in VC investment, which is remarkable figures. Now, of course, 100 Thieves are a different type of team, kind of, to a lot of esports teams. They have an incredibly good brand presence from an apparel perspective, not just the esports side, which kind of makes them a better target for VC money to some degree, and I think gives them more chance of being profitable in the long term and surviving whatever issues that esports may have over the next few years. But we'll have to see. But what was interesting about that, of course, they've raised $35 million. Supposedly they were interested in the Los Angeles spot. Maybe Activision will turn around and allow another spot within LA, even though I think they wouldn't be very happy about doing that, I can imagine, in their very first season. But if they did decide to, then that's maybe where 100 Thieves would try and end up, or they could try and grab one of these other spots. Now, so this is what COD burner said a couple of days ago. We've talked about COD burner a lot the last couple of days, and this is what he says just about 24 hours ago, probably from when you're watching this. I heard Phoenix is going to be another city for more people, from more people. So Phoenix in Arizona, I'm pretty sure is where it is. And Gen.G and FaZe are trying to get another LA spot, but they don't know if Activision is going to do two of them. So, okay, maybe me talking about 100 Thieves was all wishy-washy, because maybe Gen.G and FaZe are the teams that are interested. Gen.G does have headquarters within Los Angeles, as CWL Intel says right here. So, CWL Intel just repeating what COD burner said. No need to go into that more detail on that in a second. It's also going to be 5v5 and smallest 7, biggest 10 on a team. Kind of interesting news here, because from what I heard, it was going to be 5v5 and at least 2 subs, probably at least 3 from what I was hearing over the last couple of weeks. So potentially it goes up to 10 on a team, which in my opinion is remarkable, because and you can read the last thing anyway, but like, what's even going on there? so yeah, biggest 10 on a team is going to be crazy, because what I've heard, or at least what is rumored, is that during a series itself you will be able to make substitute changes, such that, okay, you're playing a 5v5, you win map 1, whatever, you go into search and destroy, it's time to bring out the S&D kids, you bring in the Illies, whatever. I'm sure Illy probably is talented enough to play in the respawns as well, whatever, but you know what I mean. You can bring in search and destroy specialists, and it would be interesting, in my opinion, if you were to say, like, sub out 2 of your players and put another 2 players in. Because at that point, it's like, well, okay, how exactly do we practice here? Do we practice with our 5-man team for the respawns, and then we practice with the 5-man team with 2 substitutes for search and destroy? But then that means that 3 of the players now have to play a lot more than the players who are just subs. So do we pay them more, or how exactly do we do it? Tough to say exactly. So, for example, if there was a 10-man squad, you could sub out your entire team for search. Like, you wouldn't want to do that, because I'm sure your main team has talented enough players that you wouldn't want to do it. But say you had a lot of money and you bought a load of players, you could theoretically, I mean, from what we've heard, substitute out your entire team for the Search and Destroys, and then just have an S&D God squad and a respawn team. You know, you could have a load of S&D kids, you know, Paul, whatever his name is, Paul X or something, you know, Onyx, these sort of guys that just constantly grind the S&D tournaments. Keep having them do that. Let your boys focus fully on the respawns, your main team, and then make the swap, which would be crazy, to be honest. But you know, we'll have to see how things develop. So, some stuff about Hector. In the Dashy podcast he did on Eavesdrop, he says it says 51-20, it's more like 52-20, but this is kind of the start of where he talks about it. He basically says, I don't have my meetings about the franchise league next week. Him and Dashy were talking about exactly how things are going to be working, details of franchising that aren't necessarily, you know, all on paper as yet. And Hector pretty much said he has his meetings this week. So, the rumour, of course, is that he's going to be partnering up a little bit with Gary V and working with that Minnesota spot is, you know, the current rumour. So yes, moving onwards here, we have the announcement of the All-Star game presented by TCL. Skrapz is the guy for FaZe Clan, and yeah, we'll have a look at the schedule for this in just a second here. So I did talk about this a few days ago, exactly who were going to be chosen for the All-Star game. So only 8 players have been chosen so far, because of course they're waiting for the play-in on the Friday to decide which 2 teams qualify, and then from there, I believe the analysts, or I think it's the analysts, will decide the last 2 players from those 2 5-man squads. So that will be interesting, of course. So moving onwards here, we have Temp, the All-Star for Spice. Exciting teams. Hasn't been made clear yet exactly who's going to be on which squad. So maybe that'll be determined along, you know, further along the line. But yeah, Dylan, Team Reciprocity All-Star, no surprises there. Lucky got it for Heretics. A lot of exciting players from that team. Metals, Journey, but you know, Lucky. Someone commented like with the sniper, but of course Dashy might have the sniper, which is fair enough. But if Lucky and Dashy are on opposite teams, as they might be, then that's certainly what I'd do. I'd make them snipe against each other in the searches, or maybe even in the respawns if they're feeling spicy. So yeah, Octane for 100 Thieves, no doubt about that. Envoy for Gen.G for sure, and yeah, Simp for United. And the final one, of course, Dashy for OpTic Gaming. So those are going to be the all-star players. Big names, to be honest. Skrapz, Temp, Dylan, Lucky, Octane, Envoy, Simp, and Dashy. It's going to be a good time. And this is the schedule. So let's have a look real quick at the play-in bracket, just to make this clear here. So quarterfinals, NVUYU, EG, Enigma 6. This is going to be going on Friday, midnight. Elevator, Units LG. So whoever wins this match, or whoever wins these matches, they're going to be playing the first 3 matches on the Alpha and the Bravo station will be these play-in matches. So Units LG, EG, Enigma 6. I'll do a predictions video for this tournament in a couple of days' time. So by 6:30 PM Eastern time, we will know, because this is the Bravo schedule, we will know which teams have qualified for the 10-team playoffs out of the 8 that went into this bracket. And yeah, the 2 teams that qualify here will obviously make it through. The other teams will be going home. And of those 2 teams that qualify, so for example, it could be, say, I don't know, Luminosity make it through and Envy make it through, then they will choose the All-Stars from those teams. So, you know, they could choose a guy like Brack or a guy like Formal, and then have, I don't know, Gunless come in from Envy or something, which would be very spicy. But before the All-Star match kicks off, we do actually have the Heretics versus the play-in winner and the Reciprocity versus play-in winner, which are the 4th place teams. So this is the bracket right here. The bracket does flip. So Rec will play the qualified team number 1, which is, just to make it clear, the qualified team number 1 from up here, which means they will not be playing against LG, which means in theory, if LG are the best team here, which they could well be, or at least the best team of this play-in bracket, then they will play up against Heretics in the first round, and then they might play OpTic, and then if OpTic win that or whatever happens, then they might play 100 Thieves in the next round. So this upper bracket is going to be stacked if LG do as we expect. But yeah, that's all I had for you today, guys. Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you are new as always. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.